When I was a kid, my parents would always make sure that I ate every piece of food that was on my plate. They would try to shame me by saying there were kids starving in Africa, or they would tell me that if I didn't finish all the food on my plate, then my face would actually look like it. And let me just get this clear. They had the best intentions in mind. They wanted me to be a growing child, but this also pushed me to eat everything that was served, even though I was already full. And as a kid, I never really listened to my hunger cues. And this actually carried on with me to my adulthood. Has that ever happened to you? Like if you're watching this, I would assume this is eventually going to come back and bite us in the ass. So I'll tell you my story. 20 plus years later of me not listening to my hunger cues, it really messed up how I ate. And it's actually one of the biggest reasons I let my body become fat. And then I read about this place, which had the most centenarians in the world. And centenarians just means that there are people who live to 100 plus years old. And they also happen to average out at the lowest BMI as well. And most notably, they are the only population in the world who practice a self-imposed calorie restriction method. And they do this very specifically by practicing something that they call Hara Hai Bun, which means eating to 8 out of 10 or 80% fullness. Now, this place is called Okinawa, it's in Japan, and here's why eating to 80% fullness is the key to not only losing weight, but also longevity. So why 80% fullness? Well, the very first reason is that it actually leads to gradual sustainable fat loss by reconnecting us to our true nutritional needs, which are natural to our bodies and activity levels. This also increases our body awareness and helps us regulate our stress and emotions. And it also improves appetite due to eating more slowly and mindfully. And all of this encourages better digestion. It can even help you enjoy your food while building this slight tolerance for discomfort, or at least the start of feeling discomfort. Most notably, it's a way to get away from external rules like calorie counting or diet plans, and it can actually serve as a long-term solution for keeping your body lean and healthy. And lastly, it is a key to living longer. So studies show that long-term calorie restriction has been shown to reduce the pace of aging by 2 to 3% every single year. And this translates into about 10 to 15% reduction in the likelihood of dying early. So how do you eat to 80% fullness? You may be watching this and being like, I don't even know where to start. I've just created this habit where I just have to eat until I feel completely full. Well, here's how to do it. The first step is just to start with smaller portions first. Your eyes are actually the first step to becoming fuller. So a great way to start this is actually by eating from smaller plates. And also make protein and veggies a priority, and also use water to curb hunger. And I did a complete video on how to use water in order to get lean, and you can access it in the description below. Now, if you are starting to eat at a restaurant, what you would do is you just order a smaller portion of what you would usually order. And my advice would be just to skip the appetizers, because they're usually just really empty calories, social calories, but they're actually not needed in regards to eating a full meal. Now, the next step is to remove distractions. So if you're watching this and you have your phone in front of you while you're putting food into your stomach, I would actually say, number one, put your fork down and just watch this, and then go back and then put the phone away to be undistracted from what you're eating. A massive part to eating to 80% is actually creating an environment of awareness. So eating in front of a screen is not one of those ways that you're going to create mindfulness. You want to get away from all distractions. You want to be there with the food while you're eating it. And I know in the 21st century, this is a hard thing to do for a lot of people, but I promise you, just even doing this one little habit right here is going to be enough for you to increase the mindfulness that you bring to each and every meal. Now, while you're eating undistracted, what you want to do is you want to eat slowly and mindfully. One of the ways I like to explain this is that you want to chew your food so much that it turns into liquid. One thing that we don't realize is that our mouths are actually the first step, or one of the first steps to digest our food. And sometimes when you're basically shoving huge swaths of steak into your mouth and giving it two chews and just like swallowing it down, it doesn't necessarily help with the digestion process. And also, what happens as a result is you end up feeling a little less satisfied from that meal in the first place. So you want to be able to eat slowly and mindfully. You want to be able to chew your food until it turns to liquid. And then also, one thing that you have to consider is that it takes about 20 minutes for our bodies to signal to our brains that we're full. So you want to give yourself that time. Eating slowly is one of the best ways to do that. Now, while you're eating slowly and mindfully, what I want you to do is I want you to just check in with yourself. As you're taking a few bites, check in with how you feel, and then also ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how full do I think I am? And this is not necessarily a perfect process, but something that you have to understand is that this is a practice. And practice, you don't get good at doing something just like one time. You get good at doing something over and over and over. So this is a mindfulness process that you're bringing to your food, and it's going to get better over the course of practice. And then when you feel like you're at 80%, have the discipline to stop eating. And this takes a little bit of courage as well. I mean, especially if you're used to eating till you're full like I am, it means putting away your food until later. It means leaving a little bit on the plate when you actually feel full. And if you're at a restaurant, it actually means to get some leftovers. Like for a lot of us, this is actually the hardest thing to do. But if you are watching this, I am actually confident that you enjoy a really good challenge in developing some form of self-mastery over yourself. When you sit down and you feel like you're done, take a deep breath and then do the next step. The next step is to do something that keeps you busy. So idleness is one of the reasons why people eat. And you want to do something that takes your mind away from the fact that you ate. This could be going for a nice walk. It could be getting some work done. It could be video games in some cases for some people. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you take your mind away from the act of eating. And like I said, this is important because when you are idle and when you're not doing anything, this can lead to some feelings of boredom. It can lead you to wanting to fill up that space by eating. And the final step is going to be to reflect and introspect. So get out a journal, get out a piece of paper, and write how it felt, write how the practice went. Introspection is literally one of the best tools when you're trying to incorporate any habit in your life. It's something that I used when I was getting away from drinking alcohol. It was another thing I was using to get away from quitting porn. You don't necessarily see the benefits up front while you're doing this, but you do see them when you actually apply reflection into the process. One of the first steps to change is self-awareness. You can't get self-awareness just by thinking about it. You have to lock it down by putting it on paper or writing it in some form of a journaling app. This is one of the low-key ways to change behavior and change it for good. So what should you try next? For the next meal, use these steps and eat to 80% to fullness today. That is my challenge for you today. I want you to try this out at your next meal. And one thing that you have to understand is that the best knowledge on the planet is applied knowledge. Knowledge alone is not enough. Wisdom comes from application. So you want to integrate the thing that you are learning into your life, at least on the next meal, so you can take action on it right away. So follow these steps. And I'm going to tell you right now, remember that this is a practice. You're not going to get it right the first time. It is something that gets better over the course of time. So remove your need to be perfect and try it out at the next meal you find yourself in front of. So what are your thoughts? Have you ever eaten to 80% fullness? Have you ever tried some form of like self-imposed calorie restriction that didn't involve you having to track calories? And yes, I would love to hear it in the comment section below. I'm going to be coming out with more videos like this. So please like and subscribe to the video, and I will see you next week. Take care and peace.